Hello everyone, welcome back to online class. I'm AKKAMAHADEVI, a science teacher from Upper Public School, Kalapuri. So children, today I'm here with the continuation of the same chapter, that is body movements. So children, in the previous class, what we have discussed? Yes, let us recall few points like what we have discussed in the previous class. So in the previous class, we have discussed about movements, isn't it? So children, do you remember like what do you mean by movement? Yes, exactly. So movement is when the living organisms move a body part or part without any change in the position of the organism is known as movement, isn't it? So once again I'll repeat children, movement is when the living organisms move a body part or part without any change in the position of the organism is known as movement, isn't it? So next what we have discussed? We have discussed about bones and even we have discussed about joints, isn't it? So children, now tell me like the joints which are present in our body are all same? Yes, all the joints are same which are present in our body? Exactly, they are different, isn't it? And even we have discussed about different types of joints which are present in our body. So just recall children, which are those? Yes, different types of joints. So which are the different types of joints which are present in our body? Yes, first one is ball and socket joints, isn't it? So first joint is ball and socket joints. Pivotal joint. Hinge joints. And one more. Yes, children? One more is fixed joints. So these are the four types of joints which are present in our body. Which are those? Ball and socket joints, pivotal joint, hinge joints, fixed joints. So even we have discussed about ball and socket joints, isn't it children? So where do we find these types of joints in our body? Yes children, where do we find ball and socket joints? Exactly, in shoulder and hip, isn't it? So because of ball and socket joint, we are able to move our arms and even we are able to move from one place to another place and even we are able to sit and stand, isn't it? Because of ball and socket joints. So these joints allow our arms to move in all directions, that is 360 degrees, isn't it? It allows in rotation. So ball and socket joint allows movement in all direction which are present in shoulder and even in head. Okay. So next is pivotal joint. So this joint is present in the head below the neck, isn't it? So how does this joint help? Yes, children. See, if somebody calls you, you turn right, isn't it? Even you may turn left. Even you can see forward, backward, up, down. You can move your head. So how is it possible? Yes, children? Because of pivotal joint, isn't it? So pivotal joint allows our head to move forward, backward, and even rotation also, isn't it? So this is all about pivotal joint. So now next joint is hinge joints. Okay. So before we start this hinge joint, children, so let me tell you one thing. So you all might be observe the doors of your home, isn't it? So if not, just go and observe after this class. Okay. So just you observe the doors of your house. So how they will be. Yes, children, how you can open and close the door. Okay. So let me show you. So just think this is okay. So just how you can open and you can close. Open, close. Okay. You cannot open the door to backward direction, isn't it? So just a while you think like why? Why we cannot open the door backward? Only for example, think this is your door. So just you can open, close. You cannot move it backward. Why? I'll tell you children, because of the hinges which are present at the door. So there are few hinges which allow them to move only in one direction to open and close, isn't it? So same hinges are present in our body, that is in the elbow and in the knees, and which allows movement in only one direction. For example, as I said, like my arm, I can fold my arm only in one direction. Okay, I cannot fold it backward direction. Is it possible for me to bend backward? No, it is not possible, because the hinges which are present in the elbow allow us to move only in one direction. Even you can see in your textbook also, children. Okay, so open your book, page number 69. Okay. So here you can see, okay, hinge joints of the knee. As I had shown you the hinge joints of elbow. So these joints allow to move only in one direction. So now tell me children, like where these hinge joints are present? Yes, hinge joints are present in elbow and knee, isn't it? So where do we find hinge joints? Hinge joints are present in elbow and knee. And how does they help? They help our like arms or legs to move only in one direction. Like we can bend our elbow and even our knees only with the help of hinge joints. Okay, so this is all about yes children, which joint? Hinge joints. So now next joint is, yes children, which one? Fixed joints. Okay. So now where do we find these fixed joints? Yes. Where do we find? As we have discussed, like fixed joints are found in skull. Okay. So now children, so joints are, so as we have discussed, like joints are the place where two bones meet, and these are the different types of joints. And we have discussed about ball and socket joint, we have discussed about pivotal joint, even we have discussed about hinge joints, and now last joint is fixed joint. So what do you mean by fixed joint? Okay, so there are some bones in our head. Okay children, so there are few bones in our head that are joined together at some joints. So here the bones cannot move at these joints. Okay, so such joints are called as fixed joints. So the name itself, fixed, means which cannot move. Okay, so there are some bones in our head that are fixed, they cannot move. For example, let me show you. So see children, just you try to open your mouth. Okay, so just you try to open your mouth and now try to move your upper jaw and lower jaw. Okay, so just try all of you. Yes, see, I can move my lower jaw. Is it possible for me to move my upper jaw? Try you also. Come on. Is it possible to move upper jaw? No, it is not possible to move our upper jaw. Because there is a joint which is present between the upper jaw and the head. Okay, so from which we cannot move our upper jaw. See children, there is only one movable joint in the skull that is present in the lower jaw from which we can move our lower jaw. Okay, only one movable joint is present between, like in the lower jaw, from which it is possible for us to move our lower jaw. But there is a fixed joint which is present between the upper jaw and the skull from which we cannot move our upper jaw, isn't it? So this is all about, yes children, fixed joint. Okay, so we have discussed about ball and socket joints which are present in shoulder and hip. So next we have discussed about pivotal joint which is present in the neck below the head, isn't it? So next we have discussed about, yes, which joint? Hinge joints which are present in elbow and knees, which allows movement in only one direction. Okay, and next we have discussed about fixed joints which are present in skull, isn't it? So these are all the joints which we have discussed. So now children, coming back to human skeleton system. Okay, so as I have shown you, isn't it? As I have shown you, this is human skeleton system. So children, so just by seeing this, what do you feel? What you can see here? Yes, you can see bones, isn't it? So here, all the bones in our body form a framework, isn't it? So all the bones in our body form a framework. So why it forms a framework? Yes, to give shape and support to our body, isn't it? So because of all these framework only, we can sit, we can stand, like our body is protected, isn't it? So because of all these bones which forms a framework and which give shape and support to our body. So what do we call for this framework? Yes, children? Skeleton, isn't it? So let me write here. Skeleton. So what do you mean by skeleton? All the bones in our body form a framework. Okay, so here the bones which are present in our body. So all the bones in our body form a framework to give shape, isn't it? So to give shape and support to our body. So it gives shape and support to our body. So this framework is called, so what do we call? This framework is called skeleton. Yes, children? So here, what do you mean by skeleton? All the bones in our body form a framework to give shape and support to our body. So this framework is called skeleton. So what do you mean by skeleton? You all come to know, isn't it, children? So now let us see the uses of skeleton. Okay. So what are the uses? How does it functions? Okay. First, it protects all. So what it protects? It protects all the delicate. Yes, it protects all the delicate internal organs. So here, yes children, what it protects? It protects all the delicate internal organs. So many delicate internal organs are present in our body. So here, skeleton, which protects those, isn't it? So without skeleton system, if we if we met some injuries, so something if it happens, so the internal organs will be delicate, isn't it? They may get hurt. So because of this framework, like skeleton, all are protected inside our body. Okay. So next is it helps us to walk. It helps us to walk. So here, because of the framework like skeleton, it helps us to move or it helps us to walk, isn't it? Next is it gives shape, strength and support. So it gives shape. So framework, it gives shape, isn't it? And even it gives strength and even it gives shape to our body. Okay, so next one is it is a storehouse of calcium and phosphorus. Okay, so it is a storehouse of calcium and phosphorus. So once again, I will repeat children. So what are the uses of skeleton? How skeleton are useful? So here it protects all the delicate internal organs. So here skeleton will protect all the delicate internal organs. So next it helps us to walk. So here because of the skeleton only, like we can stand, we can sit, isn't it? So it helps us to walk. So next is it gives shape, strength and support to our body. So here skeleton gives shape and it gives support and even strength to our body. So next it is a storehouse of calcium and phosphorus. Okay, so these are all the uses of skeleton. So now children, we come to know like what you mean by skeleton and what are the uses of skeleton, isn't it? So now can you tell me like have you like without saying how do you come to know that the shape of the bone or the shape of the joint is like this only? Yes, how can we guess? How do we come to know? Yes, we said like ball and socket joints are present in shoulder, hip, and all. How do we come to know this? And how can we tell that the bone, like our thigh bone is like this only, upper arm is like this only, or lower leg is like this only? How do we come to know? Can you guess, children? Yes? See, exactly. So just by touching. So just you try to touch your bones. Yes, children? So wherever you feel hard material, just you try to touch and you can feel, this like these are all bones. You can assume, isn't it? So now, how can you assume the shape of the bones? Yes. How can you assume the shape of the bones, joints, and how can you say that these are only like these joints, these bones? Yes. How is it possible? Exactly, because of X-ray. So just you open your textbook, children, page number 70. So you all know this. So here, X-ray. So to see the internal part of our body, like if our bones are damaged, okay, sometimes we met with an accident, so bone may be damaged, some internal injury may happen, so at that time doctor prefer to take an X-ray, isn't it? So why? Because to see whether the bones are damaged or what, isn't it? So here, X-ray, this is an X-ray from which we get a clear picture of internal body part, isn't it? Like whether the bone has damaged or it has cracked, isn't it? So all we come to know from X-ray, isn't it? Without X-ray, is it possible for us to know like how the shape of the bones will be or joints will be? No, is it not possible, isn't it? So here X-ray helps us to know the shape of the bones and joints, isn't it? So now children, let us discuss the parts of the skeleton system. So first, let us discuss about rib cage, isn't it? So now tell me, like, how many pairs of ribs are there, children? Hmm? There are 12 pairs of ribs. So how many pairs of ribs are there? There are 12 pairs of ribs. Okay, so you can see here, children. Let me show you. So here you can see. Okay, even if you want in detail, it is there in your textbook also. You can see. So here is the pairs of rib cage. Okay, so even in your textbook, page number 71, you can see here also, children. Okay, so there are 12 pairs of ribs. Okay, so here the ribs joins from chest bone in the front side to the backbone to the back side. So how they are connected? From the chest bone to the front side to the backbone to the back side, and they form a cage-like structure. Okay, so how they form? They form a cage-like structure. Okay, so this cage-like structure, what happens? So it protects all the internal organs of our body. So this cage-like structure protects some internal organs. So some internal organs like heart, lungs are protected by this rib cage, isn't it? So how many pairs of ribs are there, children? There are 12 pairs of ribs which joins from chest bone from the front side to the backbone to the back side, and it forms a cage-like structure which is known as rib cage. Okay, and it protects internal organs like heart, lungs, and so on. Okay, so this is all about rib cage. So now next is backbone. Yes, children. So backbone runs from neck to the hip. So here you cannot see, but backbone runs from neck to the back hip, isn't it? So it is made up of many small bones. Yes, children. So backbone is made up of many small bones, and the backbone consists of 33 vertebrae. Okay, so how many? Backbone consists of 33 vertebrae. Yes, children. So the backbone consists of 33 vertebrae, and the backbone See here, shoulder bone, rib cage, and even hip bone. So these are all attached to backbone, isn't it? So shoulder bone, hip bone, and even rib cage are attached to backbone. So yes, children. So the backbone, like it consists of how many vertebrae? 33. Okay. So the backbone runs from neck to the hip. Okay. So this is all about backbone. So now next is shoulder bone. Shoulder bone. So human body has how many shoulders, children? Two shoulders, isn't it? So one is right and one is left, isn't it? So left side of neck is left shoulder and right side of neck is right shoulder, isn't it? So how many shoulder bones we have? We have two shoulder bones. Okay. So next is pelvic bone. So this structure is made up of pelvic bones. So here, yes, children. So this structure is made up of pelvic bones. They encloses the portion of our body below the stomach, isn't it? They encloses the portion of the body below the stomach, and this is the place where we sit on, isn't it? So this is all about pelvic bone. Okay. So now next one is skull. So here the main part. Yes, children. So skull is also called as what? Skull is also called as hmm? Skull is also called as brain box, isn't it? So skull is also called as brain box. Why it is called as brain box? Because it protects our brain. So skull protects our brain, so that it is called as brain box. Okay. So now children, in the skull, so there are like 14 facial bones. Okay. So skull is made up of 14 facial bones and 8 flat bones. Okay. So now the only bone that can move in our head, as we have discussed, like which jaw? In the overall skull, only movable joint which is present in lower jaw. Okay. So this is all about skull. So skull is also called as brain box. Why it is called as brain box? Because it protects our brain. Okay. So this is all about the parts, like what we have discussed in this class. Like we have discussed about rib cage, we have discussed about backbone, we have discussed about shoulder bone. Next we have discussed about pelvic bone, and next we have discussed about skull, isn't it? So children, like in the skeleton system, like all the parts we have discussed. So apart from these, there are some bones like which are not so as hard as these bones, and even they are not so soft also. So what do we call for those? Yes, yes, children. Like there are some additional part of our skeleton which are not so hard as bones. So they are called as cartilages, isn't it? So they are not so hard as bones and which can be bent easily. Okay, so they are called as cartilages, and these cartilages are where they are present. They are present in ear, and even they are present in the joints of the body. So about this we will discuss in the next class, children. So this is for all today's class. In the next class we will discuss about what do you mean by cartilage and where they are present. Okay. So hope children you all have understood this lesson. So just go through textbook, read once. So if you have any doubts, so just note down the points, and in the next you may call me and you may ask the doubts. Okay, children. Thank you. Have a nice day.